In 2017, migrants from Libya were sold as slaves, with men fetching as much as 1,200 Libyan pounds, or about $400 each. This exploitation, deemed modern slavery, sparked outrage and highlighted a disturbing reality affecting 40 million people globally. The term, slavery, often evokes images of historical atrocities, yet it remains a brutal truth for 46 million individuals today. Our everyday lives may unknowingly intersect with modern slavery, from Libyan markets to Congolese mines, Bangladeshi factories, and beyond. In Libya, Africans are sold for as little as $400, including 15-year-olds who are kidnapped and trafficked. Slavery's invisible hand touches many of our consumed goods, from tomatoes to phones and clothes. Those enslaved endure horrific conditions, often under the threat of violence and withheld wages, across industries like agriculture, fishing, construction, and manufacturing. Women and children are trafficked into the sex industry.
They sell Africans over there, in Libya. They sell men. Even 15-year-old Libyans are there in a car, they're armed. They'll come and kidnap you, and they'll sell you for $70 to $150. And then others.
While impoverished individuals are trapped in debt bondage, the legacy of colonialism has left many nations in turmoil, with centuries of exploitation perpetuating cycles of poverty and limited opportunities. Desperation drives people into the hands of traffickers, and countries like North Korea, India, China, Pakistan, Qatar, Russia, and Turkey are among the worst affected by modern slavery. Even in developed nations like the US, slavery's shadow persists, particularly impacting black communities in Africa. In Mauritania, slavery often follows racial lines, with black Hartani people forced to work for lighter-skinned white Moor communities. Despite legal reforms, practices like wahaya in northern Nigeria and Niger continue, condemning girls to lives of domestic and sexual abuse. Africa is currently the most vulnerable region to modern slavery, with South Sudan, Somalia, Central Africa, and the Congo being the most at risk. Modern slavery thrives amid prejudice, targeting migrants, minorities, and those ostracized for their race, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Entire ethnic groups in countries like Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Chad, and Sudan are born into forced labor, treated as property. Governments often fail to address this vulnerability effectively, exacerbating the issue. Conflict and violence have displaced over 24 million people in sub-Saharan Africa by 2020, creating breeding grounds for exploitation. Armed groups prey on displaced populations, even in supposed sanctuaries like IDP camps. Military takeovers in Burkina Faso, Chad, Guinea, Mali, and Sudan from 2020 to 2022 have further destabilized the region, leaving millions vulnerable. Political instability, poverty, and economic inequality drive desperation, leading to forced marriages and child labor. In 2020, sub-Saharan Africa had the highest number of child laborers globally, with poverty making them easy targets for exploitation. Limited job opportunities and climate change exacerbate the problem, with an estimated 86 million internal climate migrants in sub-Saharan Africa by 2050. Despite efforts by regional governments to combat modern slavery, their responses are often inadequate. Human rights organization Walk Free assessed 51 countries in the region and found an average response score of just 36%, indicating much more needs to be done to address this pervasive issue.
We are there for 2 years, locked up. It's a hell. When you see it, it's a big place. It's a big place, and there is a lot of people in there. We suffered a lot. You see this guy?
While strides have been made in identifying cases and developing laws against modern slavery, significant gaps persist in providing support services for survivors. Little action has been taken to address the root causes of modern slavery, and no country has effectively tackled this issue within government or business supply chains. A 29-year-old female domestic worker in Botswana recounted, "After I reported them to labor, they bribed someone who works there, and I was told to return to work." Notably, no African nation has yet fully criminalized all forms of modern slavery. Legal progress has been made in recent years, with several countries adopting the ILO's forced labor protocol. For example, the Republic of the Congo outlawed human trafficking in 2019. Almost all assessed governments have also trained their police forces in identifying victims of modern slavery. While this progress is promising, many still need to implement this crucial training fully. As governments strive to resolve this pressing issue, citizens struggle to cope with their environments, often turning to faith for solace and striving for freedom through belief. Sheikh Armia Shwebu, spokesperson for Ghana's national chief imam, stated that faith leaders could identify victims and help connect them with professionals to aid and address the perpetrators. Globally, efforts to combat modern slavery continue. International organizations, governments, NGOs, and activists are working to address its root causes and support its victims. Governments worldwide are enacting laws to combat trafficking and forced labor, and public awareness campaigns are educating people about these crimes. Many companies are now held accountable for ensuring their supply chains are free from exploitation. Slavery remains prevalent in Africa, Asia, Europe, and many other regions, often in places not widely discussed. While Africa has the highest prevalence, this does not negate the existence of hidden slaves worldwide. Different races and cultures continue to suffer from this ancient wickedness, demonstrating that the government's disapproval does not mean it no longer occurs. The abolition of black slavery was a monumental achievement, yet the fight against all forms of slavery continues. There is hope. Having overcome past evils, we can also end modern slavery and the malice of those with backward mentalities. By staying vigilant, raising awareness, supporting victims, and advocating for stronger legal protections, we can work towards a future free from exploitation, where everyone can live with dignity. Thank you for joining us on this insightful journey to raise awareness about modern slavery. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, Ancient Histories Remixed, for more thought-provoking discussions. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay true to your values. We hope you'll join us for our next video.